Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Yep, ships at sea. I was gonna hit the button tonight and buy it, but one of my friends downloaded it and didn't give me a very good impression of it. So I'm gonna wait. I think a lot of ship simulator fans have been looking forward to this game. It looks great from the concept, but yeah, sort of clunky physics, not proper co-op multiplayer, grindy stuff. Maybe just not been executed the way I think the sort of gaming community wants it to be. I think I will try it, but anyway, that's not what I'm going to do tonight. So I didn't download that, but I did want to try something nautical. So what I did was go to an old friend, Stormworks, and I've got a whole backlog of ships that I want to do sea trials for. So this is what I'm going to do tonight. I've had a quick run in it, and it made me love the game all over again. So if you like ship simulation, don't overlook Stormworks. It looks like a low poly graphics game, but actually it's in some ways a fantastic ship simulator. So this is the creation. As you can see there, it's by Sidral Lemon. And it looks like Sidral Lemon's got a few things that I'm going to have to test here over the times. But this is a search and rescue, sort of multi-purpose hovercraft, as you can see there. And it's got very good controls. Hovercrafts are difficult vehicles to control in real life. They're complex. And this vehicle, as you can see here, has got amphibious capability. It's got a good interior. So we're just going to jump in and give it a test. And you can see here that the physics look great. And I had a great fun with this. So let's just get into it. So I'm in Stormworks. This is the creation. I'm not going to give a very detailed tour of it with a cross section. Normally I go into a cross section. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not too sure what these exclamation marks are. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments. It might be new, it might be logic issues. But it's a fairly complex vessel. So let's just spawn it in. And, oh, I can't even remember the keys anymore. How do I get to my menu? Wow. I can't remember how to get to this menu anymore. So we'll make it daytime. We'll do normal sea trials. We'll go out at very little wind. Yeah, so let's just fly over to the vessel and give it the exterior tour. So I do remember that. That's a home button, in case anybody's wondering. It lets you fly around and get onto the vessels very quickly. So let's just take a quick walk around. So we've got two giant ducted propellers with rudders, as you can see here. We've got access to engine room in here. It's actually a proper room that you can access from other parts of the vessel. We've got here kind of looks like heat exchangers, but these are fluid slot points, but hopefully it's for some kind of heat exchanging. We've got a little life raft here. So we've got a little bit of, the rescue area here. So this is where you pick up people. Oh, I haven't even seen this. Okay, so this is your bunkering station here. So you charge your battery and fuel. Up here we've got maintenance hatch. Let's just have a quick look at this. So that is, yeah, that's probably where you're fueling, and your bunkering station's down there. So that's your hoses. Places to tie up with, these huge cool air vents, and these are actually air thrusters. So effectively a kind of vectored thrust, so you can use this to get additional control. These are, I think, the lift engines. So like a proper hovercraft, it has separate engines for lift. You can see here, this is a straight 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 8 or 10. Pretty big engines, made with the modular engine functionality. We've got these nice rubber bumpers. This is a fully functional ramp. So we do first ramp, and it's on, wow, no power on. So let's go and sort that out. And you've got tie downs here in the deck, so you can tie down with cables. All this stuff works in Stormworks. It's just an amazing game, and for me, multiplayer ship simulators got to have all this kind of interaction on it. And I think this is what people are missing in ships. What's it called? Ships for Sea. I've forgotten the game name in already. At Stormworks, you can have multiplayer here, which just doesn't work really well. It's a bit laggy. But on smaller vessels, you can tie things down. You can use cables and ropes to tie stuff down. You can have one crew out here tying things down while another person's operating the vessel. It's just exactly what you want for multiplayer. So let's go inside here. We've got a bunch of equipment here, some foul weather clothing. We've got a medical bay, and then we've got a big passenger space here. So it's kind of search and rescue, remember, pick up a bunch of people from a ship and take them as fast as possible to hotels. So the typical Stormworks here, we've got a whole bunch of equipment here, so we can do multi-role. Another medical bed here, and of course you just need to jump in that and you will heal. Engine room, so two very powerful, it's usually like aircraft type engines. In fact, many hovercrafts have like gas turbines on them. And you'll see the cool pulley system here which actually works. So as you declutch these engines, these pulleys start turning and the propellers start turning with them as well, which is really cool. So nice little engine room there. We've not got power on it, you'll see why in a second. So startup procedure, let's go up to the bridge, it's pretty cool as well. So we've got good all-round visibility here. I guess this is our heating. A few seats here. Sorry, let me full screen this. Oh, that one. Okay, I haven't turned off natural disasters. Gonna have to deal with windowed, I'm afraid. It's alright, I do not know how to get rid of chat. Okay, maybe it'll disappear after a second, sorry about that. So startup procedure, you jump in the engineer seat and the engineer has control over all the power. So I can hear quite loud that alarm, so let me just, yeah, we'll be all right. So start with batteries, basically a bunch of relays here, and this gives us power to everything. And that's pretty much it. We can turn on monitors, instrument backlights, and we've got a bunch of lights here which we don't need right now because it's daytime. And you've got control over a water cannon here, so this is the engineer can control that water cannon. So we jump out of this seat. Oh, just realized there's a still mass button. You'll see later that these seats are movable, so we can slide forward and backwards. Startup procedure, basically we go through and start up our, turn on our main engine power switch, and then we run through here these switches, and you have them on, can't remember now what the mode was for clutch here, but let's give it a shot. So if he fires up and starts moving, no. So when they're not green, they're declutched, and if we clutch them in here, you can hear propeller sound and you see the props start turning. So sorry, I've got trim up as well. I just can't remember the controls here. As you can see on the left hand side there's a lot of controls for this particular vessel. As you can see, she's sitting quite low in the water, and you can see actually the skirts there are well underwater. There's actually a bunch of wheels here which are holding the skirt out, or I'm not too sure if they're got any other functional purpose, but that's how the skirt works. So now the cool part. So we go to increase engine lift throttle. As you can see, that's number 3. As I press this, you'll see here this goes forward, and if I go outside again, you'll see that she gradually starts to lift out the water. And just like a kind of real hovercraft, you kind of have that on flat out, so you can see she jumped up a bit there. That's just physics and Stormworks. There's no spray like you'd have in a hovercraft, but as you can see, she's already started moving because that friction has just effectively disappeared. So she's moving along. The reason she's moving is that when you're on full thrust there, these thrusters at the front start to work. So as you can see, they're pointing backwards. If I turn that to the left, we'll push the bows to starboard. If I push it back again, we will go that way. So we can actually steer the vessel just with these bow thrusters alone. I'm going to tap down, and the second way that we can control it was with the A and D keys. You might just be able to see this, but what this is doing is changing the pitch of these thrust propellers, so the forward thrust propellers. So this is the second way you can control it. And as you can see now, I've not got much forward prop pitch. So if I push forward on W, we can see now that we're speeding up, and these propellers have got coarse pitch, and we're getting a normal push along here. Sorry about there being natural disasters going on. I didn't think there would be this alarm the whole time in the video, but I'm just going to record it as it is. Hopefully it's not too disturbing. Yeah, so we're in full forward pitch, and if I hold down left key, oh, it's a tsunami, I think. You can see that we go left, and it slides just like a real hovercraft would. If I press the right one, it'll pitch one forward and one backwards, so you can turn like that. Now, clever thing is you combine them, so I'm doing full left and I've done bow thrusters to the right. As you can see, then you get a faster turn. And again, if I have to go back and then the other way in the bow thrusters, we should be able to cancel that turn. That's how you control your hovercraft. You can see it's still sliding a little bit left. Now, the other control you've got is rudders. So these give you, I guess, high speed control. So they allow you to keep full thrust forward. They give you control. And again, so if I do full left rudder and right on the bow thrusters, we should get there hard port turn, and the same the other way around. So bow thrusters to the back. And we turn the other way. I can already anticipate this a little bit, which is what you need to do in a hovercraft. And here we go, forward thrust again. So the other thing we can do, which is pretty cool, so I can put prop pitch to 0 as close as I can. You can actually, you have to turn them to the side and then to the front. We can have reverse thrust. So this is one way you can go backwards, it's just with those bow thrusters. And of course I can also reverse the pitch of the props. We've got there backwards. I guess at some point you can get them to cancel out, so we've got the smoke coming through the cockpit there. And you can have effectively full power but be moving nowhere fast. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, especially the bow thruster system. It doesn't turn, you keep pressing left, you'd expect that to turn round, but you have to basically point them, press the key in the direction that you want those nozzles to face. So at the back, I press the back key, left that key, right that key, but I have to go through the back or through the front to get them to be in that direction. So there we go, let's do some sea trials. So full forward pitch. And you can see here, flat water is picking up to 36 knots, 37. I'm going to press 3, so we've got full lift thrust. That will give us a good minimum friction on the surface. It does, I guess, make you more susceptible to side winds and all these kind of things. As you can see here, she's literally not touching the water, but she's not floating over it, so it's a very good job from the creator. And yeah, you get up to about 42 knots, so she's a fast vessel. That's how fast real hovercrafts can go. They can go pretty fast. Is there a crash stop? If I even go like that, I can slow this down even more. See, we're going backwards. So she stops pretty quickly, and I'll try and get her to a neutral position again. So to get the hovercraft to stop is a little bit harder than you might think. So what we do is we reduce that lift thrust below that line there. So as you can see, it's somewhere it says 90% above powers of bow thrusters. So when it's below 90%, you're still hovering, but you're not going forward. So let's add some weather. Let's just add 50% wind. See how she handles this. So I'm going to just try under 90%. Pitch forward. You can see she's actually got pretty good physics. So the skirt there is actually kind of adapting to the wave slightly. So there's really some cool Maybe these are suspension units under there, but that's pretty cool that that skirt is adapting there. So this is not 100% lift power, which is kind of hovercraft not really great in big waves, as you can imagine, because I need a sort of flat surface. But let's just give her full lift. See how she goes on. So full lift thrusters, which is actually kind of neutralizing the wave slightly here, but you can see she's not really great for these choppy waves. She's just not struggling. The other thing is, of course, a hovercraft is very susceptible to wind. So if you've got a strong side wind, let's try this with the rudder. So she will turn fine. And I suspect that she will drift significantly side on. I'll use the bow thruster just to bring her around a bit. So yeah, she weather vanes like badly into the wind, which is what you'd expect. So if you want to go this direction in a strong wind, you're gonna have to have a lot of rudder. So these rudders are self-centering. They don't go back into, they don't stay in position. So there might be a sticky rudder option one day. But you can see I can go in 50% wind quite well in this direction using the bow thrusters. So not weather vaning, just using the bow thrusters there, which is quite nice. Oh, now she's turning the other way. She will go with the waves quite nicely. Just for fun, let's try those big waves generally. Again, so weather vaning badly into the wind, as you'd expect for something that's effectively floating over the surface. Let's see if we can not crash. And see if I can get any kind of directional control. So let's see if we can go side onto the wind. Not quite got enough power to go exactly in the direction I want, which is pretty much parallel to the wind. So not quite. So you just wouldn't be able to use it in very, very strong winds like this. But I think the physics are pretty good, considering what it is. Again, Stormworks as a game, these physics are pretty good. And considering that somebody's trying to replicate a complex dynamic physics problem like a hovercraft. So again, yeah, the sweet spot is little waves, not too much waves. Not too sure why we've got a lot of turning there. Okay, she's starting to move again. And pretty controllable in these kind of conditions. So let's go and find some land to land on. Might take us a little while here. And what I'll do is we'll get around to autopilot. So let's our autopilot. She's going to crash into the island. She is. Turning. Right, past that island. So what I'll try and do is give you a little tour so we find some land to land on. So yeah, that's your cockpit, as you call it. Not a bridge, but you call it a cockpit in a hovercraft because it's an aircraft of some sorts. Working deck here, we've seen, I've actually done all the tour. And engine room there. And as you can see, these pulleys work once you declutch. They actually work. So that's like a cool little effect there. We've got this little door at the back. Just check our heading. Again, seems to be like jet engines here. So some hovercrafts do have like real gas turbines, but they're powering effectively the propellers in cases. Right, so let's just bring her up. So the coolest thing about hovercraft is it's amphibious. You can actually see there's a rescue activity going on over here. 25 knots. 36 knots. So we're going to take that autopilot off. helicopter just landing over there. So it's quite cool, the AI stuff going on in Stormworks. Again, if you don't know the game, there's basically AI doing search and rescue missions all around. As you can see, there's lighthouses, there are natural disasters, there are many different types of search and rescue missions. It's a really good game for this kind of stuff. So Ships at Sea, take note. This is the game that should be made in Unreal Engine. Maybe not with the building mechanic that Stormworks has got, but this is the kind of missions that people want to do, in my opinion. Trim was one of these buttons. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can find any kind of beach to land on. So once I'm going along, I quite like to use these rudders, my steering. I can decrease the pitch at any time to slow down, have a bit more speed control. Damn it. Alright, full speed again. Yeah, the main advantage of a hovercraft is that you are amphibious. It will get rid of sea motion in small chop. So if you've got a big enough hovercraft, it will go across chop and you simply won't feel it. So I'm trying to simulate this here. Let's try and give it a little bit more wind. That. So small chop like this, which would be very rough in a rib or planing vessel, you basically don't have it. And there are some designs like I can't even remember what it's called. Basically you have hovercrafts that have solid sides like a catamaran and then a cushion in the middle, so it's only the front and the back, which are looking like a hovercraft, and they are the kind of best of both worlds. You're not amphibious because you've got a solid hull on either side, but you've got air cushion reducing your amount of wetted surface area, so how much a boat is under the water, and you've got a good sea keeping because you get rid of the chop, and by having that kind of hull as well, you get this kind of a good sea keeping effect. You get them. There's some in Korea. I've been on it a few times to go to DSME shipyards in Korea. So here we are. I'm going to slow down. This is a perfect place to go up. See if we can go up this hill a bit more power, and the skirt there, oof, it kind of does take a bit of damage, as you can see there. All right, so we're not able to go. Let's use our thrusters to thrust the bow to port. Right, so we couldn't go up a very steep hill, which is what you'd expect as a heavy vehicle after all, but as you can see, you can go across the land very effectively as long as it's relatively smooth. You see them going across marshes and reeds and all these kind of things. Let's check what speed we're doing. Still at 24 knots. Right, so I'm getting a bit of crashing here. But yeah, you can go into land like this, and let's just slow her down so I'm getting some crashy noises. And then at some point what you do is you increase your thrust on your lift engines, and you sink down and settle on the surface like that. And then I'm assuming that you would go in and say, all right, we don't need lift engines, let's just declutch all the engines. And then you would go down, deploy your ramp, which is pretty easy in this one. That's that stage. Pretty good ramp. If I had a vehicle, I would be able to take something on it, down, up and down that ramp. Douche. There we go. Quite steep, but you would get a vehicle up and down that, and we've got our hovercraft sitting on the ground. Pretty cool. So that's the Fortis, and it's a really good creation, gets my sign of approval. Not very good sea keeping in high seas and high winds, as you'd expect for a hovercraft, but a really cool rescue vehicle if you want to use it in Stormworks. So let's go back to the creators page. Yeah, that's the Fortis by Sidral Lemon if you want to find it on the workshop. That's all from me, and yeah, I will make a Ships at Sea video soon, and I'm also going to make a video about the update for Nautis Home when I get around to it. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye bye.